Mars is the most visited planet in our immediate neighborhood, with probes regularly sending messages from there. But recently, one circumstance shocked scientists and raised a lot of questions. Why are there seasonal fluctuations in oxygen concentration on Mars? And why is this most often recorded over Gale crater? Does this mean that someone is breathing on Mars? Let's try to figure it out right now. Hubble, subscribe. Let's start with the last point. The presence of oxygen does not equal the presence of life on a celestial body. This gas can also be produced by inorganic processes. This means that for now, there's no need to imagine lush forests and highly developed megacities rising between the red Martian dunes. Humanity has been actively searching for life on this planet since the 19th century, but so far without success. If earlier research was based on fantasies featuring mythical Martians, either kind or warlike, modern developments have shifted focus a bit. Now, scientists are looking for chemical traces of current or past life on Mars, and they are also monitoring for the presence of anaerobic bacteria. Of course, astronomers are primarily interested in oxygen. This element is directly linked to Curiosity's findings. The probe, which has been in Gale crater since 2012, this is an impact crater, and its age is truly impressive. The crater is about 3.8 billion years old. Let me remind you, the solar system is 4.5 billion years old. So when scientists were choosing a landing site for the probe, this factor became a priority. Why? Astronomers hoped that the crater would serve as a kind of archive, preserving evidence of the red planet's past, information about a time when life might have existed here. But the discovery turned out to be even more unexpected. So who, after all, is breathing on Mars in Gale crater? And what else was discovered there besides the oxygen emissions? Among the interesting findings, it's worth noting the eroded sedimentary rocks, which may be lake deposits. These are pieces of evidence from the past, from which we can conclude that there were bodies of water on Mars. Although discussions about the origin of the discovered sedimentary rocks are still ongoing, and scientists can't reach a consensus at all. Not only the evidence provided by the probes, but also numerous photos from orbit showing branched river networks, huge river valleys, and deep canyons support this theory. Most likely, there used to be a lot of water on Mars. It's possible that some seas are now buried under a kilometer-thick layer of rusty sand. And what about the news regarding oxygen? The atmosphere of the red planet is deadly for a human without a spacesuit. If you landed on the surface of Mars, got out of the shuttle, and tried to take even a single breath, you would definitely suffocate. It's much thinner than Earth's atmosphere, several times more so than at the summit of Everest. The Martian atmosphere consists of 96% carbon dioxide. But when it comes to Gale crater, scientists were in for a surprise as the Curiosity rover discovered strange anomalies over this crater. The atmosphere above it consistently increases its oxygen content in the spring and summer, but by autumn the level drops back to normal. Actually, the presence of oxygen on Mars is not news. A small amount has been found in the atmosphere, measured in hundredths of a percent. However, over Gale crater, the situation changes. In the warmer seasons, its concentration in the air increases up to 30 and decreases as it gets colder. That's why it seems as if the oxygen is being produced by someone or something released into the atmosphere and then drawn back in. What do scientific studies say about this? Astrophysicists have found that during the Martian winter, atmospheric pressure drops, and along with it, the level of carbon dioxide decreases. This is explained by the fact that the element freezes at the poles of Mars because the winters here are harsh. When it gets warmer, the gas thaws and begins to evaporate, which raises the levels again. The other gases in the Martian atmosphere behave in a similar way, except for oxygen. Why is this situation observed over Gale crater? What causes the release of oxygen and then brings everything back to the previous levels? There are many hypotheses, and the most popular one says that water or carbon dioxide breaks down in the Martian atmosphere and turns into oxygen. However, to raise the concentration of this gas to an incredible 30, there would have to be 5 times more water in the atmosphere than there is now. In general, scientists at the moment do not know how to explain this sharp spike and then the equally inexplicable drop, or if it is some kind of closed mine where intelligent beings live. By analogy with the characters from Wells's novel The First Men in the Moon, or perhaps some highly developed civilization has set up underground production facilities on Mars. Then why haven't the probes seen a single living soul during all the time they've been on the red planet? Maybe you have some theories, share them. What discoveries has the National Aeronautics and Space Administration Perseverance rover brought to the world? In March 2025, the journal Nature reported on a discovery presented at the Lunar and Planetary Science Conference by Perseverance. In the Jezero crater, it discovered a strange leopard-patterned rock. This crater is most likely the bottom of a huge lake that splashed on Mars billions of years ago. The rock found by the rover is not quite ordinary. It has dark spots with rims. Similar structures are created by Earth microbes when they react with minerals, so this could be a chemical curiosity or evidence of Martian life. When Perseverance analyzed what the boulder was made of, it turned out that the dark spots were rich in fragments of phosphorus, iron, and sulfur, which once again proves the microbial origin of these structures. Microorganisms can consume iron and in return release substances that form similar patterns. However, all of this could have appeared without the involvement of living organisms. Among other things, scientists analyzed the rock itself and found that it had not been subjected to heating. This means that if there are traces of microbes on the surface of the boulder, they haven't been erased. Final conclusions can only be made when the samples arrive on Earth. Unfortunately, it's impossible to study the material using isotopic methods on Mars. In any case, this is one of the most striking and notable pieces of evidence of possible Martian life. Leopard stones and seasonal oxygen in Gale crater. That suggests that the assumptions about Mars being habitable are not so unfounded. Did Perseverance stop there, or did it surprise us with another interesting discovery? In addition to leopard stones, it discovered stone blueberries on the surface of Mars. The small round pebbles really do look a lot like that berry. However, he wasn't the first to find such spherical structures. Before that, Opportunity and Curiosity had discovered them in different places on Mars. The second probe photographed this strange discovery right in the Gale crater. The new spherules, as scientists called them, were found by Perseverance on the slope of Hazel Witch Hill in the Jezero crater. It's not just a pile of spherical stones, but an entire rock composed of them. The spherules are about 1 millimeter in diameter. Where did they come from and how did they form? There are many hypotheses, but only a few main ones. Did the pebbles precipitate from water in the voids of rocks, which would indicate Mars' watery past, or are they evidence of a massive eruption, meteorite impact, or any event accompanied by lava flows? In any case, this discovery will be helpful in studying the geological history of the red planet. Let's get back to the strange oxygen emissions in the atmosphere of Mars. Is it possible in the context of future colonization to produce this valuable gas for humans artificially? The Perseverance rover managed to do this thanks to the latest developments. Among other things, the device was equipped with MOXIE. This is a unique system capable of acting like a tree, inhaling carbon dioxide and exhaling oxygen. If we describe the process simply, it's not complicated. MOXIE is equipped with a pump that draws in Martian air. Then, inside the device, the work begins to boil. Using electrochemical tricks, the device literally separates oxygen from carbon dioxide molecules, atom by atom. To make this possible, a very high temperature of about 800 degrees Celsius is needed, so the device's body is protected by an innovative heat-resistant casing, and the surface is coated with an ultra-thin layer of gold that reflects infrared rays. So now the colonization of Mars is literally on the doorstep. The amazing device will allow us to breathe on the red planet, but not so quickly. A 4-astronaut expedition will need a ton of oxygen to live on Mars for a year, but MOXIE produced only 5 grams of oxygen, which is enough for about 10 minutes of breathing. However, no one expected huge volumes from the device. It's an experimental development. In the future, the much-tested devices will be tested in any weather and at different times of day, and if they're lucky, even during dust storms, to understand how it works in different conditions. For example, Habitability stopped communicating precisely during a giant dust storm, one of the main dangers for both people and robots. It's noteworthy that oxygen is necessary not only for the breathing of people who will arrive on Mars as part of the colonization mission. This gas is also needed to bring the colonists back to Earth. To launch a spacecraft from the red planet, 25 tons of oxygen are needed. Finally, let us remind you that scientists have repeatedly found evidence suggesting that there was at least some form of life on Mars. For example, astronomers have studied fragments of the planet that were ejected from its surface as a result of some catastrophic events. The first meteorites were discovered back in 1911 in the Egyptian desert. Among these objects, the Antarctic meteorite found in 1984 deserves the most attention. During their research, scientists were astonished to see under the microscope what appeared to be fossils resembling bacterial colonies. Later, this assumption was completely debunked. However, every year more and more artifacts are added to the collection of evidence for possible life on Mars. Let's think about what life on the red planet could have been like. Considering the low gravity, it's likely that creatures there would have reached gigantic sizes. Tell us in the comments how you imagine the living organisms that once inhabited the now dead Mars. Which object in the solar system is so huge that it can fit all the planets inside it and still have room left? Which gas giant has had an endless storm raging in its atmosphere for 3 centuries? And which planet can boast a record number of moons? But here you are mistaken. Recently, Saturn, not Jupiter, has taken first place in the number of moons, and by a huge margin. But that doesn't make the gas giant any less interesting for research. What new discoveries have National Aeronautics and Space Administration specialists found on Jupiter? So, Jupiter is a huge ball of gas emitting deadly doses of radiation, with an atmosphere that's the most beautiful you've ever seen in your life. Research on Jupiter began in 1973 with the arrival of Pioneer 10. So far, 8 spacecraft have approached the giant at various distances. So, Jupiter is a popular planet in the outer solar system. And what have the interplanetary spacecraft managed to discover on this object and in its surroundings? Let's not start with the obvious and once again talk about the Great Red Spot. There is no news except for the fact that it has been getting smaller over the centuries, but relatively new information about the giant is being published. It is believed that Jupiter is an outsider in the solar system, or rather it formed on its outskirts and later moved into the inner zone. But at what cost did he do this? After scientists found out the answer, they started calling Jupiter the planet killer. Why did the giants get such an unflattering title? The thing is, as Jupiter made its journey to the inner orbits of the solar system, it adopted the motto, "I see the goal, I see no obstacles. Accordingly, using its physical superiority, it destroyed everything in its path. Destroying planets that carelessly happened to be in its way, it caused a real stir inside the solar system. Planets collided with each other and exploded, crashed into Jupiter itself, which was absolutely unaffected by these collisions. So what happened when Jupiter finally reached the Sun? He probably didn't like it there, so he started moving back and ended up in the place we're familiar with. What does this tell us? First of all, it tells us that there was a sky, a kind of first generation of planets in the solar system which was destroyed by Jupiter. Presumably, these were large objects several times bigger than Earth, and they were located closer to the Sun than Mercury is now. Secondly, the supposed catastrophic event suggests that the planets known to modern astronomy, Earth, Mars, Venus, and Mercury, formed from the debris of the destroyed generation. And thirdly, from this perspective, Jupiter really is a planet killer. What conclusion can be drawn considering the updated information? According to recent data before Jupiter's epic journey through the orbits of the planets, our solar system looked completely different. Are there any other new studies concerning Jupiter? It was previously believed that the giant's slight axial tilt made seasonal changes unlikely, but planetary scientists are refuting this claim. For a full 40 years, National Aeronautics and Space Administration scientists have been studying temperature changes in the atmosphere of the gas giant. The results of the study were published in the journal Nature Astronomy and shocked the scientific community. It turned out that over the 40 years, which correspond to more than 3 full years on Jupiter, unexpected patterns in temperature changes were discovered. This is surprising because, as mentioned earlier, the planet's low tilt to the plane of the ecliptic does not suggest pronounced seasons. Nevertheless, planetary scientists have found that the temperature on Jupiter still decreases and increases with a constant periodicity. What else have National Aeronautics and Space Administration specialists discovered? They detected an astonishing connection between regions of Jupiter that are significantly far apart from each other. If the temperature drops in one part of the planet, it rises synchronously in another, as if someone unknown is sending a simultaneous signal. You could draw a distant analogy with quantum entanglement. How else can you explain the fact that this happens so synchronously? It feels as if there's a huge mirror at Jupiter's equator that records changes, and they instantly occur in another location, only as a mirror image. Further research has shown that temperature fluctuations also occur in the stratosphere. It's possible that the upper layers are where Jupiter's weather is cooked up. The data is still very raw and fragmented, but it provides a key to understanding how climate changes form on Jupiter, so research will continue in the future. This may help us understand similar principles that govern weather on other planets. Although, of course, Jupiter's atmosphere is a unique phenomenon with no analogs, at least in the solar system. It's chaos taken to the level of a principle. The Juno spacecraft visually demonstrated this on May 12, 2024. Through its eyes, we can see a detailed image of the giant's northern hemisphere and understand the meaning of the paradoxical term ordered chaos. As you can see, Jupiter's North Pole is dozens of randomly scattered hurricanes. What news concerns Jupiter's surroundings? Besides the fact that it now has fewer moons than Saturn, remember which moons of our giant were considered the most likely for the development of extraterrestrial life? Mainly it's Europa with its epic subsurface ocean. It was at the top of all the charts on this topic, but recent studies make us doubt that. Now Ganymede comes to the forefront. This huge moon, the largest in the solar system. Why is it considered a candidate as a place where at least bacterial life might be found? First of all, because it's the only moon that has its own magnetic field. A long time ago, Ganymede was attacked from the outside. Probably about 4 billion years ago, an asteroid with a radius of 150 kilometers crashed into the Jovian moon. Believe me, that's a lot. About 20 times bigger than the celestial body that is believed to have wiped out the dinosaurs. But this scar is just an external difference. The biggest secret is hidden beneath Ganymede's thick, rocky, icy mantle. And there, most likely, lies a liquid ocean, much deeper and larger than the one on Europa. By the way, it was a catastrophic collision that could have played a huge role in the formation of this global reservoir. Because according to assumptions, the impact was so strong that it changed Ganymede's axis of rotation. But is there any evidence of the possibility of life on Ganymede besides assumptions about the ocean? In the summer of 2021, the Juno probe flew at a record low altitude from the surface of Jupiter's moon, just 1,050 kilometers. The automated station not only got a good look at the celestial body, but also conducted infrared spectroscopy. As a result, sodium bicarbonate, ammonium chloride, hydrated sodium chloride, and aliphatic aldehydes were found. These organic substances and salts indicate that water from the depths of the ocean reached the surface, leaving its traces there. What mystery does this ocean hold if it really exists? Scientists see it as a multi-layered body of water, meaning that between the layers of water there are strata made up of different types of ice, formed under pressure at various depths. I wonder what life could be like in this strange world. We hope that the European Space Agency's JUICE mission, which launched in April 2023, will reveal at least some of these fascinating mysteries. It's quite possible that there are some organisms in Jupiter's atmosphere that are beyond our understanding, don't you think? Again, is all our hope on JUICE? The spacecraft will arrive at Jupiter in 2031. Right now, it's a time of breaking stereotypes, so anything is possible. The universe existed before us and will remain after us. Its laws are unshakable, and yet the macrocosm changes every second. Within it, planets, stars, and entire galaxies are born and die. Do you want to know what has remained unchanged since the emergence of humanity? Our loneliness in the vast macrocosm? Whether it is real or imaginary, people have yet to find out. However, at this moment, Earthlings, in a global sense, feel lost among the cosmic wastelands. It becomes even more frightening when we realize that we are surrounded by unimaginable worlds bordering on terrifying anomalies. Is there life on them? Maybe, but do we really want to get to know it? Emerging in such extreme conditions, by the way, we almost forgot. This video is a message from the universe, and your success and luck are encoded in it. But for everything to work right now, write in the comments the exact time you saw our content in your feed and stopped by to check it out. This is very important, don't forget, and something wonderful will definitely happen to you very soon. We now ask anyone faint of heart to turn away from the screens. Now there will be a cosmic creepypasta, and at the end you'll see an object that's almost a 100% candidate for having life. So the first planet in the ranking is K2141b. In the encyclopedia, you need to put its image next to the word anomaly, because if there's a hell, it's right there. The planet was discovered in 2017, and it's located near the star K2141. Moreover, it's always in tidal lock. The size of the object isn't too impressive. The planet is only 1.5 times bigger than Earth and about 5 times heavier. So why is it included in our ranking? Have you ever been to places with an extreme range of daytime and nighttime temperatures? Such locations can be found in the Atacama and Sahara deserts, northern Kazakhstan, and some American states. But all of this is child's play compared to the conditions on K2141b due to tidal locking, which causes the planet to always face its parent star on one side. The temperature on the illuminated hemisphere is fixed at around plus 3,000 degrees Celsius, while on the dark night side, there is an extreme cold of about minus 200 degrees Celsius. Obviously, such a monstrous temperature difference causes terrible hurricanes. The wind speeds on K2141b reach supersonic values of about 5,000 kilometers per hour. If you think it can't get any worse, you're mistaken. The planet's ocean, which covers half of it, is made of molten rock and it constantly evaporates. So the object's atmosphere is made up of gaseous magma. The depth of this ocean is about 100 kilometers, which is 10 times deeper than on Earth. Of course, on the cold side of the planet, the body of water freezes. The shore of this hellish ocean is a very rainy place, except instead of water drops, the planet is regularly showered with stones of various sizes falling down at tremendous speed. We doubt you would want to spend your vacation there. Who's next? We present to your attention a planet located near the very ancient star V391 Pegasus, which is 4,570 light-years away. The white pulsating subdwarf is very small. Its size is only 0.23 times the radius of the Sun, and it is dim, but nevertheless, the planet V391 Pegasus b orbits around it. Based on research, it is believed that the temperature fluctuations on the surface of this distant object are similar to those on Mercury. During the day, the temperature rises to plus 430 degrees Celsius, and at night it drops to minus 170 degrees. You might ask, what's remarkable about this? We are theoretically familiar with such parameters, but this planet has a special feature, and it is connected to its parent star. As you know, stars go through several life stages, sometimes lasting billions of years. Right now, the white dwarf V391 Pegasus is, you could say, on its deathbed, but it once went through a stage of transforming into a red giant. Accordingly, the size of the star was much larger. What follows from this is that the planet V391 Pegasus b successfully survived this period, preserving its structure. Obviously, it was a difficult time for it, since the object was almost right next to the surface of the star. It is also noteworthy that a similar fate awaits Earth in about 5 billion years, since our Sun will inevitably go through this stage. It's useful to at least observe the fate of our sister from afar. Unfortunately, remember how we said that Hell is on the first planet in our ranking? Forget about that. Meet the exoplanet Kelt 9b located in the constellation Cygnus. It was discovered in 2016, and since then, scientists haven't been able to recover from the shock. The temperature on the day side of the planet reaches 4,300 degrees Celsius. The object is located 620 light-years from the Sun and orbits the star Kelt 9. The latter belongs to a binary star system and is gradually preparing to turn into a red giant. Therefore, the fate of the planet we're discussing is not enviable. Its parent star is a hot white dwarf, which has become deformed due to its extremely rapid rotation and looks like a rugby ball. It would be interesting to look at the skies of this planet, but let's get back to its characteristics. Kelt 9b. For obvious reasons, it is called an ultra-hot Jupiter because the temperature on the planet's surface is even higher than on some stars. Its year lasts just 1.5 days, showing how unusually close it is to its parent star. Kelt 9b is extremely hot and 3 times heavier than Jupiter, which alone sums up this exotic world. But when astronomers at the Roque de los Muchachos Observatory took a closer look at the planet, they discovered an intriguing detail about its weather. On the planet, scientists discovered spectral lines indicating the presence of clouds made of ionized titanium and iron above the object. Accordingly, the planet is periodically drenched by metallic rains, scorching oceans, stone and iron showers, and supersonic winds. Could there really be anything even scarier? Well, that depends on who you ask. For example, GJ 1214b located 40 light-years away from us in the constellation Ophiuchus, can really scare people who are afraid of thick things. People who suffer from this phobia wouldn't survive a second on that planet, because the whole thing is most likely a single, solid ocean filled with super liquid water, a state of liquid that doesn't exist on Earth. The temperature on the planet is about plus 280 degrees Celsius, but the ocean doesn't boil, which is partly due to the high atmospheric pressure. Otherwise, the body of water would turn into boiling soup. But where is the 100th candidate for extraterrestrial life that was promised at the beginning of the video? We won't keep you waiting any longer. It's the planet K2-18b. The object is classified as a super-Earth and is located 124 light-years from the Sun. Like the previous entry in the ranking, the planet may belong to the Haitian class, but why is it considered a likely cradle for the emergence of life? In 2019, as a result of independent studies by the Kepler, Hubble, and Spitzer telescopes, a huge amount of water vapor was discovered in the atmosphere of K2-18b. Since the object is located in the habitable zone of its parent star, this discovery says a lot. Moreover, for an exoplanet located in exactly such conditions, similar characteristics were found, so the scientists set out to double-check the obtained data. That's why in 2023, James Webb took over the observation. And it was not in vain. The telescope detected dimethyl sulfide in the planet's atmosphere. This could indicate the presence of life in the vast ocean of the celestial body. In 2025, in April, the data was refined and fully confirmed. Dimethyl sulfide and dimethyl disulfide are indeed present in the atmosphere of K2-18b, and this is a real scientific sensation. Since both gases have a biological origin, there is still a possibility of their natural formation under certain conditions. Absolutely not. Earth science doesn't know of any such methods. What is the climate like on this planet? Presumably, the temperature there is quite acceptable, around -8 to +2 degrees Celsius. The light from the star is quite sufficient for the object. It's about 5 times more than what we get from the Sun. Scientists classified the celestial body as a mini Neptune, a type of planet between Neptune, Uranus, and Earth-like worlds. It is believed that even in the solar system there is such a mini Neptune, still undiscovered, that very mysterious 9th planet. Be that as it may, K2-18b is currently the only object located in the habitable zone of its parent star, in whose atmosphere water has been detected. Previously, such discoveries were recorded only on exoplanets in the uninhabitable zone of the star. Of course, we shouldn't jump to conclusions. Life is not necessarily supported on the discovered planet, but the likelihood of its emergence increases significantly. Finally, it should be noted that on Earth, the substances dimethyl sulfite and dimethyl disulfite found in the planet's atmosphere are synthesized by phytoplankton and other bacteria, and also appear during the microbial decomposition of organic matter. The latter compound is also a product of the metabolism of certain microorganisms. That is why this discovery was classified as a biosignature, meaning evidence of the consequences of biological activity. Taking all of the above into account, we can hope that during our lifetime, we will discover something amazing beyond the familiar world. The prerequisites are now available, so tell me now, was it really a coincidence that you came across this video at exactly the time you mentioned in the comments, or haven't mentioned yet? Then hurry up, because the universe doesn't wait.